Hello, welcome to this studio release from Carl and my cellar studio here. Today I'm gonna release 3 works, actually, not one. It's the Clogs series, and the first one I've already released some weeks ago. It's number 295, Clogs. But today I'm going to show number 299, number 300, and number 301 Clogs. So I'm passing 300 here, and so it's a little bit of an anniversary. So that's good. Yeah, the Clogs series is Recipsa works. Recipsa is one of my compilations. It's about artworks that are made directly in the wet filler, so they are kind of traces or evidence of a thing happened. An artwork was made in a way, so it's, yeah, you can read more about that on my website. And also it's part of the platform series, which I talked about the last time. It's when I have a frame with filler and I put it on the floor, on the ground, and I make imprints of it with my body somehow, or other people do. So the frame becomes in a way a platform or a stage for something to happen. So it's about that, and you can read a little bit more about that also on my website. But these works are called Clogs. The last work I presented last time was also a Clogs work, but these are the first ones I decided to do with Clogs. So I'm going to show you this one again. It's ordinary clogs, plastic clogs like this. Yeah, but the reason I started to work with these this way is because I was inspired by Kazuo Shiraga, who was one of the founding members of the Gutai group in the 50s, the Japanese art group who worked with material-based and performance art, material-based art and performance. And his works, he made paintings with his feet on the ground. And they were part of the movement abstract expressionism, which I'm interested in also. They're most famous for their American artists like Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning, for example. It's kind of bold and brave art, very individualistic in a way. But I kind of like this Japanese twist and Japanese art as well, with Zen and also this movement called wabi-sabi that kind of put an emphasis on the crooked or the degraded, and the things are kind of that are not perfect in a way, and the beauty in this. So this is inspired me a lot also. So this Japanese version of abstract expressionism I kind of really liked. But I'm Swedish as well, so I think in a way when I did this Kazuo Shiraga works, it's a little bit in a Swedish way, I would say, because Shiraga, he elevated himself from the ground over the canvas by, he had a rope from the ceiling and he hung from it almost like Tarzan. And on the images you can see he had like a bear. His upper body was bare, so it was a little bit heroic in a sense. But if you look at the video I produced when I did this work, no that work, the second one in the series, I produced a video of me doing it. So and that video reminds me a little bit about this Swedish comedian. I guess only you Swedish people will know this, from the 70s. He was called Papphammar. and it was the actor Gösta Ekman who did him. And there's especially one sketch where he has roller skates on in a room for some reason, I don't know, but he gets up on these roller skates and he totally wrecks the whole room, like just rambling around in these roller skates. And it's very funny. And in a way, this me on this wet filler kind of reminded me of that sketch in a way. So that's I think is kind of a funny reference. But back to these clogs. Yeah. Clogs are working class shoes, you can say. The old ones in wood were used by workers in factories and on the fields. Nowadays, these plastic ones, are very much used, for example, in healthcare and other working class, typical working class sectors. But when I was a kid, I used clogs, like the wooden ones, what they call träskor, a lot. And my neighbor kid, my friend, he could even run with them, but it was very difficult to run with the clogs because they would fall off. I was very impressed by that. But I kind of felt a little bit uncomfortable in the clogs, I remember, because they were a little bit hard to walk in, and you had to kind of get used to it. But these plastic ones, you usually call them Crocs by their brand. They're a little bit untrendy, I would say, in certain cultural and social groups, like my own, I guess, like an urban artist academic group. They may be a little bit untrendy. This is kind of very folksy stuff. But I wanted to say a little bit about class before I reveal this art, because I feel this works. I use these shoes for a reason, and it's because I want to say something about class. And when you say working class, most people and many people associate that with manual labor, in contrast to the middle class or the academics who do office work. But I would say that the working class, in a strictly Marxist way, I would say it's defined by your relation to the means of productions, meaning that if you get a paycheck, if you are hired, you are part of the working class, instead of if you hire or you're owner of the means of production. And that includes also the shareholders, the financial sector. They also own the means of production, because owning a share means that you own a little bit of a company. So the middle class often, where I come from, often kind of affiliate itself to its privilege in the system of capitalism, instead of sympathizing with the struggle for equality for all. Kind of in politics, they are almost in a way in this right-wing area. And that, I think, is a problem. Also, in a way, how the fight for equality is fragmented with different kind of struggles for racism, against racism, and with feminism and etc. It's, of course, very important struggles which I'm very much a part of. But we mustn't forget that equality in a general level, we all have to, all the people who are kind of part of the working class must come together and do this fight together. So in a way we have to walk in the same shoes, right? So this is also why I use these shoes. But it's also, of course, interesting this in a level of language. Language interests me a lot, and all of my work is, in a way, is about language and how we use it and what it means. So with this elevation, like Shiraga, he used a rope to elevate, and I use these shoes with some heel, and you get up on the ground. This elevation can be understood in the way of language as well, because we kind of have to elevate from prejudice and the things that we believe is the truth or natural in a way. So this is kind of moving from the imaginary field in a psychoanalytic understanding, and we also have to elevate from the basic necessities, the materialistic material foundation for living. We have to risk everything that we got in a way, and elevate from this that could be understood as being stuck in the real in a psychoanalytic understanding. And we have to get into the symbolic order in a proper place in the symbolic order to be able to change things. We have to, as a group who wants change, we have to become subjects with agency, and this is important. So this is also a way of seeing my artworks. But I'm trying not to be so long, so now I'm going to just proceed to revealing these artworks. And it's a series of 4, right? So I will start with this work. And then I will just move these around. So here you have it. This is the Clogs series, 4 works. And I will take off the camera and go a little bit closer. Let's see. Let's try not to fall on the cables. Here is the first one that you already maybe have seen. And moving on to the second one in the series. And this is the third one in the series. And this is the last one. I'll give you some close-ups as well. Yeah. I'm gonna put down the camera now, trying not to fall on all these cables. So you can see that the works are individual. I usually, when I do a series, I kind of make them together as a whole so they can be installed together tightly as a unit also, but function as individual works as well. But with this group, I feel they are meant to be individual works very much. They can of course be installed quite closely together, but they have to have some space between them, I feel. So to wrap this up, I just want to say that maybe where Shiraga's works were dramatic and sensual with kind of layers of color and which made gradients. I don't work with gradients at all. My work are flat and graphic, and this is because actually the work is a cross section. I make the works with my feet, and it's very 3-dimensional. It's almost like a relief, right? But then I sand it off, so it becomes this cross section of a 3-dimensional object, and this takes away all the gradients. so it's a completely flat and graphic work. And this I maybe can understand as this is abstract expressionism, I guess, but in maybe a little bit more straightforward and accessible in a Swedish way, maybe you could say. I don't know, maybe that's not Swedish, but I hope to do it a little more closely and more not so elevated in a sense. Yes, I think that's all I wanted to say about these works, and but I'm really happy how they turned out, and I really like them, and soon I will post them on my website, and you can see them there, and I will post also on my Facebook page and Instagram account the works, so you will be able to see them there, and hopefully I will exhibit them in my exhibition in March in Ängelholm, Galleri Moment, Ängelholm Kunstforening in March. So look out for that. Thank you for watching.